in 1 Nephi chapter 17. God comes to Nephi and says, build a boat. And Nephi had never built a boat. And the reasonable, sensible thing for Nephi to say at this moment is, okay, God, that's an interesting thing. I've never built a boat. Could you have somebody else do it? Instead, what Nephi does is immediately asks, where do I get the ore so I can make tools to build a boat? Nephi doesn't protest that he doesn't know what he's doing. Why is that? Because Nephi, like Abraham, had learned to trust God. And the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the God you can trust. That's the whole point of the Abrahamic covenant. Nephi expresses total and implicit trust in God. God knows what he's doing. If he asks me to build a boat, well, then he's going to provide a way to make that happen. And we see, of course, the brothers, Laman and Lemuel, don't believe at all. They don't trust God. They think it's ridiculous. Now, it's interesting, there is some suggestion that Laman's name comes from two ancient Semitic words, not believing or not faithful. We've seen in other videos that the word aman in Hebrew means belief or faith. And in ancient Semitic languages, the word la can mean not. So actually, even today in Arabic, which is a Semitic language, to say no, you say la. So there's this possibility that Laman's name literally means la aman, not believing, not faithful. And if you look carefully at the text, there's instances where Nephi says, and Laman did not believe. So there's this underlying Hebrew wordplay where Laman is identified by his name that he's not in the covenant. He doesn't trust the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to deliver. And therefore, Laman isn't willing to show his loyalty back to God. Whereas Nephi is absolutely willing to be loyal to God. You want me to build a boat? I'll go do it. And Nephi actually addresses the interaction of these two covenants. God's loyal to us, therefore we should show our loyalty to him, be committed to him by believing. So after he's having this exchange with his brothers who said, you're crazy, we don't believe that you can do this, right? We don't believe, la aman. So Nephi, calling upon the memory of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God who's trustworthy, who will keep his commitments to provide a way for his children. Here's what he says, and God loveth those who will have him to be their God. Laman and Lemuel seem to not want God to be their God. Behold, he loved our fathers, and he covenanted with them, yea, even Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he remembered the covenants which he had made, wherefore he did bring them out of the land of Egypt. So again, God had covenanted to provide prosperity, property, priesthood, posterity to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Therefore, when the Israelites were in bondage, God remembered that he covenanted to do this, and he brought the people out. And he asked them to covenant back to him, to be loyal to him when they're in the land. Laman and Lemuel are not doing that. Nephi is. And what Nephi is doing here is saying, this is the God we can trust. When you hear the phrase, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, just know this is the God who makes covenants and keeps covenants. You can trust him to do what he says he will do. Nephi goes on and trying to convince his brothers to trust God, that if we're loyal to God, he'll be loyal to us, and we can accomplish whatever he's asked us to do. In verse 50, he continues, and using the theme that God will only give us commands that we can fulfill and that we can trust God, here's what Nephi teaches his brothers. Verse 50, if God had commanded me to do all things, I could do them. If he should command me that I should say unto this water, be thou earth, it should be earth. And if I should say it, it would be done. And now if the Lord has such great power and has wrought so many miracles among the children of men, how is it that he cannot instruct me that I should build a ship? I mean, really, what's harder? Saving thousands of people from Egyptian bondage and protecting them from from Pharaoh's armies, or that I build a ship? So since I know God has done those great deeds in the past, then I can do this seemingly great deed, which is really not that big of a deal compared to what God's already done. And so in this story of Nephi providing a path of salvation for his family because of the command of God, Nephi is covenantally committed. He's loyal to God. That's what the Mosaic covenant's about, is us being loyal to God. And we do our loyalty we show our loyalty by doing what God asks us to do. And God is under covenantal obligation to provide a path of salvation for us.